Okay. Right, this is about highway driving. I'm having a coffee at the moment. Sorry about that. So you'll get a few sounds coming through because I'm very unprofessional. But who cares? Right. Now, this is fundamental for safety on highway driving. A basic principle. Let's say you got a car on a 2-lane road, okay? This car is traveling at 100 kilometers per hour. And this car here, traveling in the same direction on a double lane road, is traveling at 80 kilometers per hour. The relative speed is what counts, which is 20 kilometers per hour. So what does that mean? It means that even though you're traveling at high speed at 80 kilometers per hour, your car here, and he's traveling at 100 k's, let's say he's drunk, falls asleep behind the wheel, and crashes into you. He will only crash into you at 20 kilometers per hour. What would that feel like? It will give you one hell of a fright. It will jolt you in your seat. But outside that, nothing. No pain, no nothing. Almost certainly at those tiny speeds. The relative speed is so low. And that's why highway driving is much safer than you think, and you should never be too afraid of the other cars around you. The worst that could possibly happen at high speed, which is extremely unlikely, this is 1 in a million sort of stuff, is if a guy traveling 100 k's behind you side sweeps you, destabilizes your vehicle, so you go, start fishtailing all over the road, and then roll and crash and maybe die or have a serious injury from that. Okay, that's worst possible scenario. And when I talk about worst possible scenarios, I'm talking about lightning strikes. It's possible that a lightning bolt can come down and kill you at any time. Okay, it's all about perspective. My point is, highway driving is actually very, very safe. Much safer than you think, just so long as you hold your vehicle steady and be ready to hold control if the worst happens. That is, another car bumps into you or something like that, which again is extremely unlikely. It's never ever happened to me. Right. Twice the speed, 4 times the impact. So if this guy was breaking the law and doing 120 kilometers per hour, 120, and you're doing 80, so he hits you at 40 kilometers per hour, still, that should not lead to any injuries or anything like that, but that will give you 4 times the impact because it increases by the square law. Twice the speed, twice the bang. Sorry, 4 times the bang. That's what I'm trying to say. 4 times. So you're starting to get into a bit more of a danger zone. Okay, let's take it the other way. There's a car going this way at 100 kilometers per hour. You're going the other way at 100 kilometers per hour. That's you. Opposite directions. This is the open road, so there's no median barriers or anything like that. You have a direct head-on, so the relative speed between the both of you is 200 kilometers per hour. That's instant death, okay? When you have accidents like that, sometimes they can't even tell what the gender of the bodies is because the bodies are so mutated. Though that typically happens if you have a head-on collision with the truck, because then the truck goes straight through you like you're not even there. And I won't explain it in detail, but that's more like a head-on collision at like 300 or 400 kilometers per hour. Okay, you get turned into crunchy mints. So that's what's dangerous. There's one thing you absolutely must avoid. Whatever it takes to avoid is a direct head-on high-speed collision, because that is 100% the killer. Okay, and if it doesn't kill you, you'll probably be preferred if it did kill you because you're dying quickly rather than slowly, without meaning to be too graphic. Okay, now this is the point. This is why you can feel a lot more comfortable on an open highway. Okay, I'll just move this paper across. A lot more comfortable than you might think. So like here's the Wellington Highway going to like, I don't know, Johnsonville, Lower Hutt, Upper Hutt, the whole Wellington area. It's usually about double lane on one side, and then they have a median barrier. Boom, boom, boom. The big concrete or big wire cable barrier that goes straight down the middle. One road, the other road. Exactly the same on the other side. What does that mean? It means you cannot have a head-on collision, because if this guy falls asleep behind the wheel and starts crunching into the median barrier, it will almost certainly contain him, and he can't hit you. So even though you're traveling at high speeds, it's actually very, very safe, so long as you're driving properly, so long as you're alert, so long as you're not drunk or about to fall asleep behind the wheel or anything like that. The worst that can happen is bugger all. Now you might ask yourself, well, why don't they have these median barriers everywhere? Well, in a perfect world they would, but New Zealand, what do we have in the open road once you get out of the highway system? You've got curvy roads all over the place, and big, long, heavy vehicles, they simply cannot get around those curves without moving onto the other side of the road. And because of that, you can't put median barriers there, otherwise we'll never get supermarket food delivered to us in the trucks. So that's where the real danger driving is, not the highway driving. And that's where you want to be a little bit more experienced and skilled to be ready for accidents and to be defensive. But if you're going to Upper Hutt, Lower Hutt, Johnsonville, Porirua, any of those places, don't be too frightened about going fast, because it's much more safe than you think. Always drive your safest, of course. In any circumstance you want to do that. Always be defensive. Always watch out for other cars, what other cars are doing around you. But again, don't have a heart attack. Okay, don't panic, don't feel like, because it's always scary when you're not used to driving at high speed for the first time. It takes a little while to get used to it. It even took me, after years of driving, a while to get used to it in a bus. It's like, oh my God, when I started going 80 Ks. But again, as far as safety goes, you don't have too much to worry about. It's very, very safe in these big highway systems because the roads are excellent, they're smooth, there's no intense cornering. They get rid of that, and that's why they can put in these median barriers, which protect everyone from the worst possible scenario. The collisions, if they do happen, are only at about 10-20 kilometers per hour, which is almost like the bumper boats at the playground, whatever you call it. Okay, thank you.